are the Black Hand. Alliances come and go. Corporations rise and fall. But the Black Hand remains. We wait. We watch. Through it all, the Black Hand lives on. When we strike with ruthless efficiency.
I'm back from Cloud Ring an hour ago. Killbots screamed throughout the night. On the way we came across a PL camp. Man, it was an awesome fight. I'm back in the Imperium. Yo, the house boys. Back in the Imperium. Been on a fleet so long that I got 2 paddlings. Only asked FC 6 times. And Daddy, I just got the ping for a cat fleet. Boss kill mail shall be mine. I'm back in the Imperium. You know, now how's my day off, boys? Back in the Imperium, back in the Imperium, back in the Imperium. Well, the good fights seem to come each night. This beast is riding. And a big red boat's laid in a fleet tonight. Jump, don't jump on line to son. Oh my god, if you jump, you're dead. Oh god damn it! Oh no! I'm back in the Imperium. You don't know how's my day off, boys. Back in the Imperium. Well, the sea told me to ensure my dread tonight. Big things are happening. And if I get popped, it will be alright. Cause I can always haul on super kill meals in a rookie ship. Oh, show me all the salty tears on r/eve. That echo chamber of bad posts. Boo-hoo, girl, goons and Mittani. But what coalition gives you content the most? I'm back in the Imperium. You don't know how's my day off.
We are the Black Hand. Alliances come and go. Corporations rise and fall. But the Black Hand remains. We wait. We watch. Through it all, the Black Hand lives on. When we strike with ruthless efficiency.
You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the meta. The meta controls everything. The meta determines what will and will not happen. You are watching The Metashow.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Metashow. We have exciting times today. This is probably the most amped Eve's been in the past, what, year, 2 years? I mean, ever since the Halloween War. This is like there's nothing that compares to what Eve is right now. So, guys, joining us today is Asher Elias, esteemed FC of the Imperium. I think he's ranked 18, I think, right now, something like that, in the Imperium FCs. But guys,
he used to be.
No, actually, I lost the fight, so I don't demoted myself to 24.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Did you fill out your TPS reports for that?
No, I'm way behind on my paperwork.
Man, I swear.
Hey, lads,
slacking.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting assaulted by Hypno Kitty. Hold on, I can't hear anything you're saying. There's too much resubs. Yeah. Oh Jesus.
Excellent. Welcome to the fight, boys and girls. We're glad to have you. We're also expecting to see lots of our enemies are going to be joining us today, hopefully, and having things to say in chat, because they haven't really had an opportunity to see our pretty faces with the full studio and everything like that since they tried to do their little super cap trap with the CO2 betrayal and failed. And then they tried to VFK, but they totally didn't want that VFK anyway, despite all of their threads on Reddit and all of their herping blurbs. So this is an opportunity to really make some eye contact, which is scary, I told. And really just point out how they failed. And we're probably going to spend the entire hour talking about the war and just crapping on people. I think it should be fun. Speaking of crapping on people, if you check the kill boards, we have something really interesting just happened. A certain Dutchman appears to have run around through our space and is busy doing bad things. Somebody named, who is this? Is this Mr. V? Interesting. Okay. Well, our audio is, I guess, messed up. I don't really know whether we can hear our guests appropriately.
You're quiet. I just turned you up, so it should be fine now. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. All right, so let's do it. We have a bunch of people who are going to messily attempt to deny reality. I can see them super cap trap because they apparently don't believe that there was an attempt to go after our supers when CO2 tried to betray us and planned it in advance. But let's get right into it. What do we want to? Would we want to do? Should we start with the CO2 betrayal?
I mean, I think I'm gonna look at our sheet because I'm pretty sure that's literally the farthest back in time we can go for the major events this week. So I think CO2 betrayal is where we're gonna start. And,
okay.
Yeah, take it away.
Okay, so one of the things that's hilarious about this is that because CO2 has chosen to betray the Imperium, we get to show the strength of our values and our consistency. Like we've always said, the rules of the Imperium and of Goonswarm are best possible friend, worst possible enemy. So we've never gotten backstabbed quite like this before, and I'm proud to say that Da Vinci and GigX failed in their aims, because what they had done, as we revealed, is that they had planned to have the Bastion and Lon supercaps evacuate from Veil of the Silent, which we dropped earlier, evacuate them through Tribute, and then work with Pandemic Legion and NC. And all the other idiots who are trying to kill us to essentially kick off another BR5. That was all supposed to go down on the big MTACO fight for the iHub. Now, the Imperium valiantly defended CO2 space for like 8 hours in a massive fight, and at the end of it, CO2 said we're resetting the Imperium, and it was after that we then discovered all the pieces came together, and then of course our hand agents have given us some useful intelligence that have shown from the layouts of everything that they were trying to do a backstab live. I mean, they even told us as much, that they were planning to reset us and do all this stuff the morning of that fight. What the point of this was, as I explained in a fireside chat, was to try to get rid of the shame of BR5. All of these people want to blow up our supercaps and then be able to break the Imperium. You only get one shot at being a traitor, and already corps have begun to leave CO2. So congratulations, and I'm sure that everyone will be entertained by reading, 4 years worth of logs, almost 100 pages of the CO2 diplomatic records of their slow descent into hubris and then treason.
You're talking about the 3 years of falsified logs that we broke out, we typed up over the last 3 days?
That's right. I'm sorry. Yeah. I forgot from Reddit. It's so hard to tell what our enemies, what their line is. Because, you know, just like they were totally going to have the largest battle in Eve and destroy VFK, and it really mattered, and then it didn't seconds after they failed. Apparently, Goonswarm, inside of just, a matter of hours after the CO2 betrayal, managed to concoct 100 pages of logs. Here is the problem. We have fought these same people for years. We fought them in the Fountain War. We fought them in the Halloween War. And now we're fighting them again. Upvotes don't win wars. You can try to write as much fan fiction as you want, but your leadership knows. Your leadership knows that there was a plan that was begun to try to get our supercaps out. That's why you see Manny barking currently on Reddit, trying to get everybody, come on, join. What are you going to do to call World War B? Get these people to the front because it didn't work. So, oops. So that's basically that. CO2 decided to flip, and they're not even getting standings from half the people who are part of the gaggle of idiots attacking us. So we get to see the usual kind of infighting as Pandemic Legion treats their supposed allies like the battered wives that they are. And I think that's going to be fun. I've been seeing some squabbling about Moon's rights and things like that with Triumvirate and CO2. There was no backup plan. That's the reason why this is happening the way it is that our enemies had no idea that they would fail. And so when CO2 flipped, there was no backup, no strategy, no what are we going to do about the moons, what are we going to do about standings in this. The way it was supposed to work is there was going to be this grand betrayal, and then we would just go away. Unfortunately, we're still here. Then the next trap, of course, I think that's, we should actually talk about the fights a bit, because give me a moment here to have some water before I go back to just flicking everybody off. Why don't we talk about that last, Asher?
Well, let's, might as well talk about the war, or the actual fight itself. Asher, you were there. Yeah, you're there for the entire fight. You were leading, what, the Proteus fleet for that?
Yeah, we're talking about MTECO right now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. We didn't switch, did we?
I don't think so.
No, I'm just kidding.
No,
Yeah,
I was in the Proteus fleet, yeah.
So what happened? I know it was, if you look at the numbers, you see 3,000 versus 1,300, but what exactly happened during the fight? Like, as the FC of one of the main fleets for the Imperium, like, going into that fight, seeing the numbers against you, like, what was the entire plan there for you guys?
Well, it's so like when you get to these giant fights, like there is skill is still important to some degree, but it's more on a tactical level than like actually flying your ship around and flying your fleet around. And so there's definitely some positioning importance. So we jumped into the system that JTAC GAMP, JGAMP, and the enemy fleet came at us, and these guys who are supposed to like banging their chests saying we won because we did really well, their entire coalition flew into the same bubble. Their entire it was like 2,000 at the time. 2,000 dudes were within 5 kilometers of each other. They didn't use a perch. They didn't have someone give them a warp in. They just warped to the gate and got caught in a bubble. And we didn't punish them for it, unfortunately. Our bomb run missed. But that could have been the best bombing run in EVE of all time had we just set it up better. So we had a chance to swing that whole fight right there, basically due to them being incompetent. But we messed up too, so some of that's on us. And then after that, it's just crushing math at that point. We went in with the Proteus fleet to get lots of webs on people and try to web people down for big artillery strikes on them. But when you're talking about moving at actually 1% tie-dye is really effectively what we felt like we were in. My fleet warp took 9 minutes to take effect. Then it's just math. It's just how many people, how many guns, how many ships at that point, and also all your preparations are more in did we math this out right? Did we do it right? And at that point, we were just crushed by overwhelming numbers.
And this is where things get interesting, I think, because what we learned from MTACO was not just that CO2 had been traitors and they'd been traitors days in advance. What we learned was the birth of our new harassment strategy, which has already been very effective. So when we saw everybody bogged down in tie-dye, having a fun gameplay experience, this is what you can expect when you go to war with the Imperium, just like you could expect in the Halloween War and in the Fountain War before that, is misery for all of our enemies. So if they come at us in any way, they will spend a tremendous amount of time in tie-dye. Now, in the Dominion system, this is sort of fascinating. So we're beginning to see the first real block-level defensive war in the history of Fozisov, which people have mixed opinions about. Right now, our enemies think that they can win with it, so they're going to be talking about how awesome it is. But what we've been able to see the last couple of days, after MTACO, seeing the harassment fleets around it, one of our FCs named Havish came up with the idea of, okay, well, if these guys are going to bring literally the entire galaxy minus Stainwagon against us, because let's just point out the sheer hypocrisy of literally everyone who's attacking us. Almost all of you who have come at us in these last few years have cried about blobs and blue donuts and all this other stuff, and yet here you are, saying, oh, no, no, no. Well, we couldn't beat goons because they had blobs and all of this, and that's bad, but now we're just going to blob ourselves. So essentially, you're pathetic and should feel ashamed of yourself. But even better than that, you're going to have a lot of fun because we figured out a fantastic thing, this sword fleet en masse. At the fight in Imtaco, we realized that we could run around while these people were stuck in tie-dye, and we used this in Imtaco again. Actually, it was Umi. We did it 2 days ago? 2 days ago in Umi. Where instead of using a nullified interceptor doctrine or what have you, just with a small response fleet, we begin putting hundreds of our guys in a single one of these fleets, and Jay Amazingness ran around, zooming, killing our enemies, and bogging them down in tie-dye. So now a single node contest, even if the enemy has thousands of people, that single node contest now takes them hours. They have no fun because they can't deal with the interceptors in any way. And meanwhile, our fleets are having a fantastic time. People are talking up the road runners, they're zooming around, and it's just dragging this war into the mud where it belongs. So that was how we went from MTAC-0 to UMI just a few days later.
Well, the biggest thing though is the higher the system's ADM as the I guess the allies, I guess is what they're calling themselves with the Money Badger Coalition, get to. Like the higher the ADM,
the Children's Crusade.
The longer it's going to take for them to actually toast the SOF. So you're going from systems low ADMs, which is extremely quick, to high ADMs, which is like 40 minutes per node and something like that, and 10% tie-dye. And these hacks are actually affected by time dilation. So in the past, you have things like TCUs onlining and all sorts of SOF structures that aren't affected by time dilation timers, but now the new Aegis SOF is affected by it. The new Fozzy SOF is affected by time dilation, which means you're going to turn these 40-minute timers into 2 to 3 hour timers. Like if you look at fights at BR5 and the time dilation in those fights, a 10-minute Doomsday cycle was taking 2 hours. So 2 hours for a 10-minute Doomsday cycle. So maybe the Tech 3 is a little bit faster than the Tech 3's hardware, but it's still a fucking long time.
And that is exactly why the enemy has tried to go for these essentially shock and awe strategies. They had no real plan for an actual contested SOV war because they have no one who's able to actually occupy the Imperium. This is important. So if you look at the math and you look at the numbers of all of the fools who are arrayed against us, the only strength in that is PL and NC Dot blobbing together with a relatively strong force from the culture. You combine those together, those Rattlesnake fleets and the T3 fleets, and out of basically the Hakonan area, you can project power into Imperium territory. There is no one who can stand against us the moment that these people go away. And these people who are providing that power are not going to be occupying Declan. They're not going to be putting down roots in SOV, because essentially what this entire war has taught us, and taught all of Eve, is that Fozzy SOV has been a failure. No one stages in SOV null anymore. Everybody stages in low sec. Essentially, the SOV null staging concept is done, which is why none of our enemies are doing it, and neither are we. We're in Saranen, they're in other areas of low sec, etc. So what you see with this is two major attempts, both of which have failed, to shock us into breaking apart in some capacity. The CO2 treason, which was supposed to be combined with the BR5 that they would win, failed. And then after that, there was going to be this big April Fool's Day attempt to go after VFK. Oh my God, let's go attack VFK and UQ9 at the same time, and we're totally going to get them this time, which also they failed. And so now almost all of the Imperium is safe in Saranen. And all of Eve is getting stuck into this tie-dye. No matter how much it gets promoted, this is what you can expect. And that's even before the vulnerability window shift kicks in, which will be tomorrow. So that's going to be fun. But that's a segue, I think. Do you want to talk about the ruse cruise?
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of beaten MO into the ground. So I mean, you have VFK, which happened yesterday. That was was supposed to be, as heralded on Reddit, the biggest fight in Eve's history.
The history of Eve, and all the streamers went there too.
Right now, they all have this huge nerd boner for VFK, and I think it really goes back to the time Billy Mark decided they were going to try and headshot VFK, and we trapped NC Dot, Pandemic Legion, Raiden, and all their friends into VFK. All have this huge nerd boner for VFK, and I think it really goes back to the time Billy Mark decided they were going to try and headshot VFK, and we trapped NC Dot, Pandemic Legion, Raiden, and all their friends into VFK. For a week. We trapped them in VFK for a week. So I think they're kind of traumatized, and they've had VFK burdened to their brains. But VFK has not been a relevant system for 2 years. So
it's a Reddit punchline, but I think that a lot of these people, they legitimately are so disconnected from how EVE actually works, which is going to be a fantastic wake-up call for these guys once they actually have to do work. Work is very scary. Have to dig trenches and use saw blazers. But I think a lot of them actually think that Goonswarm lives in VFK. We have lived not there for 2 years, but whatever. They believed it, so they all showed up for it. It was fantastic. Laz is busy reading chat.
I am.
You read chat, I'll run my mouth. Everybody will be happy. Well, so basically what happened is that they made this big, oh my god, everybody come to VFK. You even have CCP's PR guys like sending out press releases about this is going to be amazing, this great war, blah, blah, blah. Because for some reason, I don't think that CCP's PR guy really likes Goonswarm all that much, but whatever. So off they go, doing their thing. And so we call a State of the Union. And we call a State of the Union at 1700 EVE time, because there's a very important timer for our allies in their staging system, which is the iHub and UQ9. If that is lost, it's 1820. This was yesterday, then their strategic index and thus their ADMs would have gone down by a factor of 2, and they wouldn't be able to jam the system. The station was also on offer. Now, of course, we are dealing with overwhelming hostile numbers because everybody thinks that this time will be different. The Supercap trap missed, but this was going to be their big shot to break the Imperium and demoralize us. And shock and awe, because if they break the Imperium that way, they don't have to do work. They don't have to hit saw lasers. They don't actually have to do with any of the fizzle saw things, big, hard, quick things. And then suddenly magic is going to happen and the Imperium is going to break up. But as everybody who's ever fought us knows, it actually takes months and months of misery and grinding and having ashes shoved down your throat when you fight us. That's what they're going to get.
Mitten, can I talk about this for a second?
Go ahead.
As the local Reddit expert in this call, it's funny because you think like, okay, there's propaganda and there's what you know, right? Like we might say something to make our enemies look bad, like, oh, they have terrible FCs, but we know that there's like a couple good ones. We know who they are and we respect them because we know that. But there's also the side that you put out there to sort of bolster your line members, right? And what I thought was that, okay, these guys know that we are loyal to our allies despite what CO2 says, right? So it should have been exceedingly obvious that we would not go to VFK, that we would go to FCON's station and defend the iHub. And I thought in my head that all the Reddit propaganda was just sort of a smokescreen. And then you look and they're all late because they really thought we'd go to VFK because they bought in.
They believed it.
I didn't get it. I didn't get it.
Confirmation bias. They want to believe their own bullshit. They want to sit around. It was just like it was in Fountain. These same people will get around and write fan fiction. So what happened was, we even said in the State of the Union, we are going to UQ9 to make sure that we can cover FCON and Razor. We said it. We went there, and there were still enemy fleets going to VFK because they wanted to believe. So we go to UQ9, we save the iHub before the enemy even gets there, and then we bog them down in tie-dye and keep them there by just logging off one of the fleets in a station and sending the other fleets away and turning those into sword fleets, at which point there was, I think, Isildur and the boys killed a CVA fleet that had come up from Pravi Block in Saarinen. And actually, you guys were both. Actually, Laz wasn't FCing during this point.
I was at work. I didn't get home until after this was over. Like literally, all this entire fucking war has been during your time zone, basically this so far. And I'm excited to hopefully get into FCing and finding more fleets. I think I led a fleet last night, and I got blue balled again, which I was kind of sad about.
By the way, the narrative spin, like if you read the chat comments right now, was that no one was in VFK. I was. Oh my goodness, dude, my ears.
Children.
I was in VFK. There were 800 people in VFK. Like I was there during the timer. So like you can say something, it doesn't make it true.
This is a great war. This is a great crusade. What has happened here is that we are now secure. There have been 2 shots that have been taken in this whole shock and awe attempt to break the Imperium. That has failed. You can only be betrayed by CO2 once. You only get 1 shot of the Supercap fleet. And also our enemy's amazing Supercap fleet is about to get nerfed to fucking back when the Citadel expansion happens. So essentially what you have here is more goons are awake and sounding the, returning. We haven't even sounded the horn of Goondor yet. We gave a State of the Union and people are rushing back due to this frenzy of idiocy. But these people have done this before. They sit around and they sit in their little echo chamber and they upvote each other, and then they lose. They lost in Fountain. They're going to lose. They lost in the Halloween War. It will happen again. Sov might be easy come and easy go, but stupidity is forever. So what happened here is these motherfuckers who are too busy trying to tell everybody that nobody was in VFK, there weren't anybody there, blah, 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 is we went to UQ9, we saved our allies' iHub, we then held most of the enemy fleets there by having Jay Amazingness log off one of our Mac fleets there and pointedly play other games and post screenshots in local of him doing this, get our guys out. And then the enemy has realized that they're not having fun fighting the Imperium. It's almost as if they thought that they would have fun and entertainment served up on a little platter for them. But what did they get instead? They had to do work, so they didn't. So even though VFK, they could have taken their forces from UQ9 with one of the, because they had lots of dudes. They had lots of dudes. They could have sent more to VFK. They already had, how many dudes were, like Asher, you were in VFK. How many dudes did they have? They had a couple hundred. At the very least, they had.
More than that. There was probably, well, like I said, VFK peaked at 800, and I'd say that there were probably, my guess is there were probably 200 allies and 600 enemies.
This guy is crying in chat. You didn't even fight. It's an objective-based war, people. We're here to defend our guys. This is the best thing. Here's what you could expect. If you attack our space. Let me blow my nose here for a second. If you attack our space, if you go after us in any capacity like that, it's
I've heard Mitten speak that sound at a nightclub, but it was a slightly different context.
Well, apparently, I saw some idiot go after me on Twitter about no more clubbing on Wednesday nights, which is a shame. I'll have to go clubbing tonight. I actually, this last week has been dodgy. Like, fair to our enemies before we go back to shitting on them relentlessly. The trap for MTACO, which wasn't actually MTACO, but the super cap move thing was a work of fucking genius. Like, that trap was fantastic, and would have really fucked us if it happened. We would have, in some areas, the people planning that we are predictable, we would have jumped our supers in to save Lawn and Bastion supers, and then CO2 would have flipped sides, and then the dogpile from Hakone would have come in. So that would have been another BR5. We would have been completely unprepared, and we would have lost it, right? And we wouldn't see that coming because we didn't expect CO2 to backstab us, right? Obviously, if we expected them to backstab us, we wouldn't have spent the next 8 hours that day defending the MTECO hub. So some credit to our enemies there. That was an exceedingly intelligent plan.
I've got one thing I'd like to say about that, too. Like, their big line of defense has been, if we were trying to bait you, why would we have all our supers logged in? And I don't understand that line of thought, because we looked at their super fleet and we said, we can beat that fleet, no problem. Like, our fleet is much bigger than that. So that is like a perfect bait, is actually to have like a smaller, than like a beatable super fleet online, so we can look at it and judge and say, hey, look at these numbers. This is an easy win for us. And then we go in and either more log on, CO2 flips, and then boom. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand the reasoning they throw back at us.
Against it as much as they want. What's going to happen here is that once we get through the critical period of this exact, like, oh my god, we've stabilized things now, right? Like, this whole week has been really dodgy, but because we dodged the super cap trap and their big VFK thing failed so spectacularly yesterday, that probably in like a month or two we'll just log dump, showing what we now know about the CO2 thing, just like we did. They will say that the logs that we released about the CO2 trap were also faked, just like the 100 pages of diplomatic records. The thing is, you can't help stupid. People are going to say, oh, you're spinning, oh, this isn't real, blah, blah, blah. I had a bunch of upvotes, so that's not true. You're never going to convince those guys, because... Well,
I mean, people are expecting it on the BR5. People want to see it on the BR5, and I'm like, just straight up, anyone who's talked about it or asked me about it, you're not going to see the BR5, guys. You will not see BR5. The only time that you might see BR5 is after the capital changes, where everyone's going to be on a level playing field. Everyone's going to be new to it, because, like, just completely frank, the Allied forces, or the Money Badger, or whatever the fuck you guys want to call yourselves, just like you say to us, Imperium or CFC, like whatever you guys want to fucking call us, whatever we want to fucking call you. The big thing is the Money Badgers, Children's Crusade, whatever the fuck, they have more super caps than we can manage right now. Pandemic Legion by themselves on a move up a few months ago had 91 Titans and I don't remember how many super carriers. That force alone is a huge dent out of the Imperium's super cap force. So then you have all their allies bringing super capitals as well. The Imperium just can't manage that number. So once the capital changes come, then maybe we can use some sort of tactics or something to overtake those numbers. So don't
Once
expect a
you
BR5 until then, boys.
Once that happens, you're going to have like bloody fights where, okay, we've got rid of all the fax machines. There's really no reps left on the field. And even if we're trading, you know, they're getting 3 for our 2, that's still trading. Like, so that might be an interesting.
They don't want to
fight.
trade. That's the thing,
Right.
is that the way in which
I
our
don't think.
enemies,
I think you're right.
Again,
I think you're right.
PL and NC. want to be in a immortal
think they
blob
do.
of spider tanking supers, just like they were in the Halloween War, just before BR5. And once you can actually have to take risks, like that's why they're parking on Test before, that's why they're parking on Brave before, because there's no risk. It's entertaining. It's like basically having an aimbot in an FPS, right? Like, woohoo! We have a big blob of Titans, nothing can stop us. And great, whatever. The point is this. Once you know what your enemy wants, and for a while, until this CO2 super cap trap thing happened or didn't happen, it looked like it was a normal Sov war, and I was confused because the way that politics and the psychology of macro scale warfare works is you find what the enemy wants, and then you don't give it to them. And so we will simply not give the enemy a BR5 because we don't need to give the enemy a BR5. They need that. They want that because they lost last time, and they are hungry to get that kind of victory before their immortal spider tanking stuff gets nerfed. But moreover, on top of that, the way in which the forces were aligned, I said this on the last Metashow, it didn't make any sense to me, and I said as much. Look at the recording if you want, where the enemy didn't hell camp to DTAC when Bastion and Lon were evacuating from Vale of the Silent to redeploy to Saranen. I called this out. I was like, this doesn't make too much sense. The enemy is wavering. The enemy is weak because they don't want to do homework. They don't want to Sov laser. We love to hellcamp things. If I was in charge of a Sov war, I would be hellcamping that. And they didn't. And now we know why. They didn't do that because they wanted the guys to evac such that they could then set this whole fucking thing up. Now it makes sense. The weirdness, the strange things that didn't add up over the last couple of weeks now actually make perfect sense. We know what the enemy wants, and that is a big grand super cap battle, because it's not like they're going to be living in Declan, because they can't, because we will kill them. Like, nobody can out-occupy the Imperium. So yeah, instead of getting what they want, they'll just get tie-dye. They'll get shitty vulnerability windows. They'll get a lot of homework. We'll get to watch a whole bunch of people trying to, I guess, Reddit mobs that Manny is trying to get to do the Sov laser hacking work for him. And just misery. This is not going to be fun, but it'll be fun for us, because we enjoy seeing our enemies, which is apparently the rest of the galaxy minus White Legion and Stainwagon, i.e. the same allies that we had in the Halloween War, the same allies that we had in the Fountain War. So again, us against a lot of you again. But there's no fucking around about whether this is just a proxy war. This is essentially a grudge fuck, one that we cannot be dislodged from.
I've been thinking about the narrative a lot lately, and I think it's interesting because a lot of this group it's a bunch of what I would call essentially elite PvP groups that are put together, plus test, and then plus some newbie groups that are sort of propped up by the elite PvP groups, right? And they have a different playstyle than we do. We're empire builders, so you've got your industrialists who just like are mostly in high sec. They just mine, or if they're in low sec or null sec, they're in rental systems, right? And then you've got your elite PvP people who disdain sort of any of that work and just play so they can fight, and that's their only goal.
They
and
want
then sort of
frags, right?
Exactly. And then we're sort of in the middle. We're sort of like the jack of all trades. We have combat people who do combat and mine, people who rat and mine and fight, and also and sort of everything on the scale. But it's sort of in the middle. And the narrative that they're pushing is that they're going to fight us until they've broken us apart.
Too late.
Yeah, I don't think that's a goal that's achievable, because like, even if say like they drove all of us out of Declan, we would want to resettle because that's what we do. They don't want to do that. That's not who they are. This is like a distasteful, like short to medium term alliance. Whereas we are long term. We're civilization players. We want to build our empire.
The last time, and we should talk about the history here, because there's a lot of people who don't realize what they've gotten into here with this war, but they will. The last time that somebody actually came at us in any serious way, it started the Great War, which is why we are declaring this the Great Crusade. What is going to happen here is when we are truly provoked, and when I'm seeing some of our guys who are as OG straight out of Syndicate SU-84 as I am, rushing back, we haven't even sounded the Horde of Gundor, essentially, that things are going to be real for a long time. The Great War lasted for 4 years. It was 3 years until Band of Brothers was destroyed, and then another year on that, blowing up IT Alliance, which was their respawn. So when you get goons really, really pissed off, us and our allies go crazy, and we go crazy for a long-ass time. So what's going to happen here is this. I'm going to lay it out. Already there is infighting amongst the enemy, at least amongst their leadership, because they don't all have mutual standings, and now they're starting to have competing interests because they're not going to be getting their easy win, which is what they wanted. So, I have to take a sip of water here because it's so much work ranting about so much idiocy. Excuse me. So, we have a situation here where all of our enemies are now realizing that the easy win that they were looking for and the fun and the big fights and the dank frags are actually going to turn into a fucking hell slog. It's already started that way, and you're going to see the Imperium's vulnerability windows shift into a realm of suck. With the ADM system that we have implemented, you're seeing our ADMs go up, which means that the amount of hacking that you guys are going to have to do while getting harassed by sword fleets is only going to increase. Our guys are going to be having more fun. You will be having less fun. Your play experience is going to be a nightmare. We will find what you want, and we will not give it to you, which means that as time goes on, just like the last couple times this has happened, the enemy mistreats each other because they have all these competing egos of like who won this or who's really in charge or blah, 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 and then they end up breaking apart. At some point, they begin to degrade, our numbers go up, we begin crushing them. You saw this in Halloween War, you saw this in Fountain War, you saw this in the Great War. And then, just like in the Great War, the Great Crusade will be a process of us hunting down everyone who thought that they could take a shot at us when we were weak and ruining them. That is what you can expect, just like in the Great War.
A big thing to point out, guys, also is it's actually really off topic, but the Imperium up till now has been running Imperial fleets, and it's kind of a Fountain War situation where we're running a fleet designed for something else, a different type of fighting, and it's not really meant for hell grinding or hell war that we're running into now. So if you watch the SOTG, it was announced that we'll be swapping to Grinder Fleet, which, if you're familiar with the Fountain War, is a Baltic style fleet, which a Baltic fleet was a Megathron fleet with a few Apocs to throw in some EM for fighting Ishtars, but we're swapping from a full Megathron fleet to a 50-50 split of Apocs and Megathrons, whereas the Megathrons don't really work versus Proteuses. The extra Apocs will kind of split the damage profile, and also they're much more disposable than Machariels.
Why don't we want to shoot Megathrons at Proteuses? Like, why is it a bad thing, Les?
I mean, I guess if we want to shoot into 94% kinetic resistance, we could definitely do that.
Yeah, so the Proteus has like the perfect resistance profile for railguns, and that's the Megathron's main weapon platform. So the APOC shoots EM and thermal, which is a much better profile to shoot at a Proteus.
Yeah. But so we have a lot of people actually really excited to switch back to Megathron and Apox. So it's looking forward to lead some of those, and it's a doctrine that we can actually meet Grinder with, which that's my favorite type of fighting.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that's interesting about this is the enemy thinks this is going to be easy, and so they're expecting us to just feed into them while we get our shit together. In many ways, the parallels, as Les pointed out, are eerie with the Fountain War, because we have the same group of people coming after us, the same level of, oh my god, we're going to spew lots of propaganda and we're going to upvote and fanfeck our way to victory. If you actually go back and you read all of my CEO updates, which are available on TheMittani.com, from the Fountain War era, you will see that at every time that I posted that we were doing X, Y, and Z, I actually lay it out as the straight truth. And our enemies like to say that I'm spinning or this, that, the other thing. But if you go back with a few years of time, when I say that we were winning too fast and we were overstretching our logistics and all that, and that was in the first, I think it was the second week of the Fountain War, that was actually borne out to be true. So again, it's the same parallel here. We have siege fleets, we have caracols, we had an expensive faction BS doctrine that is not suited for fighting the rest of Eve again. We have done this before, and we have won before, and we will win again, because now we have even more intelligent people on our side. Our values have been consistently broadcasted. We have more stronger allies within the Imperium than we did in the CFC back during the Fountain War.
Hey, Mittens, do you remember when you were sitting on the Spinner Master 8000 back in November, when you told everyone that Pandemic Horde was trying to put together a large coalition to attack the Imperium? Do you remember that spin? You just lied to everyone for your purposes. And then nothing happened afterwards, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. So, I mean, at every turn, these people want to just believe what they want to believe. It's a normal human thing. Stupid people are going to do stupid things, and they are dumb. If you believe that Gobbins actually ruse-cruised us and that they totally weren't trying to form a coalition to come after us, you're a fool, because Gobbins himself has admitted it as much in some of the statements that he has made in Alliance mails since then. So there was, in fact, an attempt to come at us from Cloud Ring. We did, in fact, deal with it appropriately. And then no matter how much you upvote shit on Reddit, which is what they did. I mean, Gobbins' response to getting called out on his shit and kicked out of Cloud Ring when we came, without firing a shot, was to run to Reddit and upvote a bunch of stuff about how he had actually, fooled everyone and blah, 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 blah. And they upvoted, as if that can actually make reality.
To be fair, I thought that was his best possible response. Like for the situation he was already in, that was probably his best.
I think that was actually a pretty reasonable strategic response. Like I agree with that. I think that in a situation that he was in, because he had been caught with his hand in a cookie jar, it's a hard call to make to give up a region. I mean, we have done that a few times ourselves, right? But what Gobbins had to do there was basically go, there is no hope of fighting the Imperium and Cloud Ring, hand in the cookie jar, we're going to withdraw to Aquarius. So kudos to him on that. What's funny is that there's people who still believe it. I mean, there's still 9/11 truthers. There's still birth certificate people. And so at the same time, there's going to be people who still believe that Gobbins actually fooled us, even when he himself says, when they had to do that fighting panic evac to Cloud Ring, you don't have a panic evac if you planned this shit. So anyway, whatever. Fuck them. That's the point.
Yeah, so
these people, yes, that is a derogatory term when we say these people, when we are referring to fools who believe things so desperately because they see a mob upvoting it. Yes, these people. And that's, it's the same group. They lost before, they're going to lose again, and they can't get rid of us now because we're in an immortal low-sec stager. We're angry. We have a grudge. Goons are coming back in droves, and the biggest possible risk threshold was in this period of time before people realized how different Fozzie was from Dominion. Actually, that's one of the biggest things that I think is that Dominion, you have a single point conflict. So in the old Sov wars in the Dominion area, what you would see is two forces would fight, and then when any Sov would change hands, it would be a really big deal because Sov war was always about a single point, one flag, right? So you bring your wrecking balls on top of it, and whoever has the biggest wrecking ball gets the Sov for half the galaxy, and that's what it was in Dominion, is that we had half the galaxy, and PL had the other half of the galaxy because we had the Apex forces. And the psychological attempt that these guys had on us was to, before we could teach our guys that, Fozzie Sov, it comes and it goes very rapidly. Like, we're taking Sov, we're losing Sov, back and forth, whatever. Before people adjust to that reality, to convince them that everything is doom. And that would be easy if they had destroyed our Supercap fleet, but they didn't. That would have been easy if, after I call State of the Goonion, they had actually succeeded instead of failing spectacularly and starting to... They canceled... Laz was so mad. They canceled their U.S. time zone ops. They had U.S. time zone ops scheduled, and they fucking canceled their U.S. time zone ops and didn't form up to try to deal with Laz's fleets because they keep blue-balling Laz because they're afraid of him, basically. They're hoping that Laz will go away. Every fleet that Laz has led recently, they just blue-ball and run away from, while whining at us about weaponized boredom as if there's something unique, special, and different about it. Like, it's just
we didn't get completely blue balled. We dunked a Spectre fleet that was black. It was black ops dropping. So a Spectre fleet was going to kill a carrier on the undock of Saranin. So the carrier undocked and shot their bait ship, and then they signed in onto the grid with the carrier as my Mercurial fleet landed on station.
And we had like 100 bombers, recons, and like one Redeemer. Yeah,
I think we killed 80 ships out of their like 100-man fleet before they were
right as we're landing.
So that's the funny thing about this, is you see here in chat, there's a lot of people here in chat who are going, oh, you're spinning, oh, you're delusional, oh, we did this, whatever. Well, that doesn't actually change the reality on the ground. The reality of the ground is this. We have our forces that are consolidated in Saranin. The reality on the ground is that our doctrines are getting unfucked. All of our FCs are flooding back. The reality on the ground is that the ops that were supposed to be going after our strategic assets, some of them very critical, last night were canceled because babies didn't want to do work because they got rused in VFK, and then VFK was taken because the enemy was so lazy. I didn't get a chance to make fun of them about this earlier because I was too busy making fun of them about other things, so I apologize, guys. I gotta get back on the VFK thing. They had all these dudes in VFK, And Asher is in there, and XTDZ, who is a goddamn hero at every major juncture in the history of Goonswarm, where there has been a defensive soft war. XTDZ has been there in the defensive 49 TAC in the middle of the Great War. Pretty much at every major point, XTDZ has played a pivotal role. And there we are. We're like, okay, guys, speech went well. We saved the UQ9I hub. We're not going to be able to get the station. We're going to tie him down there. We'll see what we can do. And then we look at VFK, and XTDZ is like, we can do this. Here's what we do. Let's just use these interceptors, zoom them around, and we'll just do it under their noses. We didn't send any broadcasts about it. We didn't say, hey, guys, we're going to do a VFK. But they were so lazy and sleepy. Mm-hmm. And you know that because they then later gave up their U.S. time zone ops. The Triumvirate Coalition crew just canceled their ops. Oops, whatever. That we were able to take VFK. And then we got to see on Reddit all of these people who are busy going, let's see, I'm going to link this tweet in chat here such that the people who I don't like have to see it again and tip their little fedoras. They had this long ass thread about how, VFK is going to be the biggest battle ever and it's going to be amazing. And what did they get? What they actually got was they lost.
Oh. And see, Backlist in chat says, while you're looking that up, Laz, are you feeling more confident about the Imperium current posture than you were a week ago? Definitely, dude. I mean, it's kind of sinking in more that what I want to see right now in the current war is I want to see all of our allies, Razor, FCON, all SMA, all the people that aren't currently living in Saarinen. I want to see them all move back to Saarinen. Right now we're forming 3 to 4 different fleets, actually probably 4 to 5 different fleets, and instead of having all of our guys in one spot where we can have massive coalition fleets with like 180 battleships, 200 battleships, and a battleship fleet, we're having less, I guess, weaker fleets. They're all 250-man fleets, but they're weaker fleets because they don't have as many DPS ships as they should. So if we could pull everyone into Saarinen and get these large coalition fleets rolling, again, like we used to back in the day when the Imperium was at its strongest, then I definitely could see us being able to contest a lot more of these timers and pick and choose targets depending on what type of ships we're able to pull. So Sov is going to come and go, but it's not something unless they really, really, really want to all live in the north. And keep this coalition and be the next big coalition in Eve, this 3,000-man group, which is not going to happen. They can't possibly stop us from taking it back later. So if we could get everyone into Saarinen, we could actually form a better fighting force.
Well, I think you're already seeing that, and you're seeing the Imperium as a whole has changed its vulnerability timers. We have had to do that because, of course, CO2, we were strongest in Eurotime, and then CO2 flipped. So that was a big swing. People in chat are asking for CO2 blood, and this is one of the biggest losers in all of this, which is good. The biggest losers in all of this are the traitors. Because what has happened with CO2 flipping and their grand plan failing is that we are still here and they are the closest enemy to us. They are a Euro time zone locked alliance. They functionally have no US time zone. They're already beginning to lose corporations because their line members did not realize that Da Vinci and GigX were going to have them. Actually, Sebastian St. Frescan was unfortunately involved in these meetings too. We now know that they were going to flip and be traitors. So they're going to lose strength, they're losing morale, and our siege fleets have been going out relentlessly, attacking their shit nonstop. So we have Lyris is out there blowing up their crap at siege bombers. These guys are right next door to us, and so their alternative is what? They have no alternative. We were not supposed to be here. We were supposed to break and go back to Jeddah, and they're on our doorstep, and we hate them because they are traitors, and they deserve nothing but scorn.
Our enemies were really... oh, CO2 is so great. After a week after, they were just shitting on them. But now they're talking about how great CO2 are. But in a few months, they're not going to be there for CO2 because everyone knows sort of how CO2 is run now. And I don't understand. I don't think they thought about it. I don't think they thought it through. And the other thing is, if they were going to leave and they said, hey, guys, in 2 weeks, we're just going to leave the coalition. It's not for us anymore, blah, blah, blah. That's a whole different story. That's like, okay, we understand. That's sort of an amicable split. We'd be annoyed, but we wouldn't be like, well, now we're coming for you. I don't understand what. I guess it's just hot-headed Serbian leadership. Like, is the best explanation for this.
Entitlement is a dangerous thing. Yeah. I think that what happened here is this. because people do not know, many of the people who are attacking us have lost, so the veterans have lost so many wars to us that they are drowning in confirmation bias, and they are hoping that this time will be different. And so they're still in the honeymoon phase. They're busy loudly trying to tell everyone that what happened in the last week did not happen, that yesterday was a success when it wasn't, and they're trying to tell each other that, oh, there wasn't actually a CO2 trap and that Mittani's just making it up, because that's all you've got. What is actually happening here is this. Our people are angry, and they hunger for the suffering of everybody who is coming at us.
I've never seen the average flying goon so mad.
Everyone who is coming at us now will be remembered. We did this in the Great War. We have a book of fucking grudges, and in the Great War, every single entity that came after Goonswarm and after our allies, we systematically hunted down and ruined the pile of fucking skulls. And this is stuff, because everybody likes to say spin, this is stuff that you can look up, but you're not interested in evidence and truth. You just want your fan fiction. You can see what happens when Goonswarm gets angry. The reality is this. We have lots of enemies. We have lots of enemies because we are the meanest motherfuckers in this galaxy. We are nastier the older we collectively get. We do not play for your fun. We play for our fun. If you want to hurt our people or go after our people in any way, what we do is we find what you don't want and then we shove it down your throat. So that's what you can expect. This soon will all fade away. The will is already wavering, because if you had willpower, you would not have, this is to the enemy, you wouldn't have canceled your US time zone ops. You would have gone to bed. You would be hell camping us. You would be doing work. You're not doing the work. We do the work. So what's going to happen is the egos, the little FCs who are slap fighting each other, once they realize that it didn't work, once they see our strength, once we see that we're angry and we're unbroken, you're going to realize that this is not going to work out very well. And then bad things are going to happen. I think it'll probably bad things happen first. I think culture is first on the chopping block. We'll see. Maybe we'll have to deal with. Actually, no, that's not true. CO2 is. I forget that CO2.
I was about to say. I mean,
sorry. I mean, we're thinking.
Whoa, we're jumping.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. So it's actually very rare for our allies to betray us because we're very consistent in our values across the coalition. We're always communicating that. So of course we were going to be gunning for culture first as a counterattack, but that was before this turned into like Great War levels of hate fuck, which is pretty much where we are now. So CO2 will obviously be first on the chopping block because they're right there and they're traitors. Then it'll probably go after culture. Then, I don't know, violence of action. Suis would probably be fighting back a little bit more against the initiative, but unfortunately for Suis, because we're in Syndicate and people are wondering why is initiative in Syndicate attacking things, well, for some reason it seems like OSS isn't terribly functional right now, at least for another few days. I don't know why Suis hasn't been around. Maybe something happened to his ability to log into EVE Online. I'm not really sure. Unconfirmed reports from my spies, surely nothing is amiss. But somebody left the hen house unguarded, so we're going to take that because, again, he's one of the people who's been pushing this a lot, and so he'll have to go up against the wall as well. CO2, OSS, all of these things. Your allies will desert you. Ours will not. And this is just going to be a process of one by one going after all of you and making you pay, and it won't be fun for you. It's not going to be fun at all for you.
Is it unusual to have, like, a leader sort of so reviled as GigX and another one sort of revered like Sebastian is? Like, you have sort of two opposites. Is that unusual to have an alliance like that?
I think it is. It's a similar thing, kind of like where people will be blaming Scion and saying that Scion is bad and that I'm good, or at least, you know, whatever. Actually, I think at this point, people are just saying that I'm bad.
Yeah.
People are just going to be angry at me because I'm supposed to be like, oh, I'm sad. These Redditors are writing fan fiction. Blue, blue, blue. We're scared. When the reality is that we are fired up and we know that we have this. This is a lock. You like, essentially, it's like that scene in Watchmen is, you know, we're not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with us. And you should know what happens when we get pissed off like this, because we've done it before over and over and over again in the history of beef. The GigX Sebastian thing it's unfortunate, but Sebastian was involved in those meetings. We now know this, and hopefully we'll be able to reveal all the details on that ideally in a month or so, once the hotness of the intel is there. It is a shame to find out that somebody that you thought was a friend was a traitor, but unfortunately that's the thing that we've been dealing with in Goonswarm recently. Before all this is the people who had been grasping for power within Goonswarm, you know, basically trying to betray us and fuck us over as best we can. So with the Sebastian thing, it sucks, but it is what it is, and what can you do? It's a shitty game sometimes in terms of people betraying you, but you move on and you stick to your friends. My attitude is, if somebody betrays you, they never were really your friend in the first place. They were just using you. So you actually haven't lost anything. You have disposed of yourself. You have separated yourself from a false friend who didn't actually have your interests or your friend's interests or any of your values in common. So basically, fuck them.
I mean, I can't wait to see what happens with the doctrine changes we're doing as we get more and more allies into Saranin, and eventually just kind of see what this tone is going to start taking as we get closer to FanFest. Because what, 2 weeks from now, you're going to have a lot of leadership from groups going to FanFest. I'm going to FanFest. I think Mittens is staying, but like it's going to be very, very interesting to see how the pace of the war changes as we get closer and closer to this 1 week. Drug fest that is an Eve mate.
Well,
Laz,
on top of that,
Laz, I want you to know that I will florp with you anywhere.
Oh man, florping's so good.
So one last thing is for all of our enemies, because I know that you're surprised to see that we are unbroken and that we're on the offense and that we are fired up about this. I think that it'll be entertaining. We have a fireside chat tomorrow at 2100 Eve. That fireside chat is going to be broadcast on this channel as well. Like we have for the last firesides. We do these every Sunday at around 2100 Eve. And we'll probably be going into a little bit more detail about what we're doing. The fireside chats are a good time. It's a Q&A with me and the directorate of Goonswarm. All of our allies are, of course, welcome as usual. Everybody hangs out on Elysium, asks questions. It's sort of a good, unmoderated channel. Everybody has a grand old time. So tune in for that if you'd like to hear more about how much contempt we hold our enemies in. Because there's going to be a lot of that, because we do hold them in abject contempt, except for the people who came up with a super cap trap plan, because that was actually pretty fucking brilliant. Thank God we didn't. It was really good that we didn't fall prey to that. Because
I don't know. I was talking to Elise. It was yesterday, actually. I think yesterday, Elise and I were both at work, having to watch all the fights and stuff happening on Twitch. So we're chatting. And I think the biggest thing that I'm upset about when it comes to like Fozzy-Sov and Aegis-Sov is, and we're both agreeing about this, is there's no reason to commit bigger stuff. Like before, you had the iHubs, and you'd had to reinforce iHubs, then you'd rep them with like carry. You'd have to come in and carry rep them. So then you
single
have
point fights. Yeah.
Well, you'd have those big assets on the field, which would promote the escalations and then promote other things.
Exactly.
I mean, and now I mean maybe Citadels,
basically. Yep.
Yeah, maybe Citadels will bring that back. But I mean, Elise and I are both like, man, it's like we're missing that part of the gameplay still.
Why would you bring it back? They're limited to a certain amount of DPS that one BS fleet can hit, even on the XL Citadel. Like, why would you drop a dread? I mean, if you have only 10 people, sure, but in these big wars, why would you ever do that? Like, you know, it used to be like, okay, so the carrier's repping, so we drop a dread, so they drop more carriers, we drop supers. Like, that was the escalation chain, and now the very bottom of the chain is broken. There's no reason to bring anything else.
Yeah, which sucks for our enemies. I mean,
the only reason to bring anything is the 200 interceptors that can warp through all the bubbles and shit like that. So.
Yeah, that's another thing that's so funny is like the most optimal way to deal with defense in Fozzy-Sov appears to be interceptors en masse. They're fun. They drag everything through the mud. It's ridiculous. And so instead of having these big BR5 fights that our enemies wanted to have, you just have interceptors everywhere, like Boat said the other day on the 07 show. All right, we're going to actually, speaking of boat, do we have the boat show after this? Or
we do have the boat show coming up, guys. We got about 30 seconds left of the show. So, Asher, thanks for coming on. Guys, everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be back here next Saturday for the next Metashow. I believe next Saturday we'll have Crass Kitty on, one of the new Eve streamers who's been, I guess, an actual neutral side of things and commentating on the war.
She's doing a good job.
Yeah, I believe a lot of people have actually been doing interviews. She's interviewed Grath, she's interviewed Elise, I've interviewed with her, she interviewed Asher. I mean, she's doing a really good job with it, so we'll have her on next week. So with that, guys, the boat show's coming on, and we'll see you guys next Saturday.
You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the meta. The meta controls everything. The meta determines what will and will not happen.